Way out in the misty rainforests of Central Africa, living among these ancient, massive trees, there's a creature of just incredible power and, believe it or not, profound tenderness. Today we're going to go way beyond the myth to get the real story of the gorilla. Let's dive in.
Okay, so when you think of a gorilla, what's the very first thing that pops into your head? For a lot of us, it's this chest-pounding, aggressive giant, right? Something straight out of King Kong. But is that picture really accurate? Is that the whole story?
Not even close. The truth is, these animals are so far from the monsters we've imagined. They are, in reality, peaceful, super intelligent, and deeply emotional beings.
So that's what this is all about. We're going to peel back that old stereotype and build a new, much more accurate picture of who these incredible animals truly are.
And check this out. Here's a number that just grounds this whole story in a stunning reality. Gorillas share nearly 98% of their DNA with us, with you and me. They are one of our closest living relatives in the entire animal kingdom. And that's not just some random factoid. It is the key to understanding everything else.
Right, because of that close genetic link, their story isn't just about animal behavior. It really mirrors our own deepest themes, like the importance of family, what it means to be a real leader, and just the fundamental patterns of life itself.
So how do they actually live? Let's take a look inside the incredibly complex social world of a gorilla troop. This is where you really start to see their intelligence and that emotional depth come to life.
At the very center of every single troop is the silverback. He gets his name from that patch of silver hair that grows on his back when he matures. But his role, it's so much more than just being the strongest one. He is the heart and the mind of the entire group.
His job is actually really complex and absolutely vital. He's the protector, defending his family from literally any threat. He's a mediator, stepping in to solve fights and keep the peace. And he's a guide, leading them through the huge forest to find food and stay safe. You see, this is leadership that's built on responsibility, not just dominance. It's a strategy that makes sure the whole troop thrives.
And how do they manage this complicated social life? Well, communication is everything. We've all seen the famous chess beat, right? And yeah, it's a powerful warning to rivals. But honestly, most of their communication is way more subtle. They use soft grunts and other little sounds all the time to express everything from comfort to curiosity. And it's what really weaves the troop together.
So a typical day for them isn't packed with drama and fighting. It's actually really peaceful and pretty structured. They spend their time looking for leaves and fruit, resting, and, this is crucial, strengthening their bonds through things like grooming and play. These quiet little moments are basically the glue holding their society together.
And all of this social structure really builds to the very heart of their existence, the family. This is where you can see their emotional lives most clearly.
Now, in this family unit, the silverback is usually the only male who gets to mate. But here's the really important part. The females choose him. They pick their partner based on his ability to provide not just strength, but the trust and stability they need to raise their young. After an 8.5-month pregnancy, which is, very similar to ours, a tiny infant is born, completely helpless and totally dependent on its mom. For years, that young gorilla will just cling to her, learning everything it needs to know about the world through her care and by playing with the others in the troop.
And that bond between mother and child isn't a fleeting thing. It is a powerful, long-lasting connection that shapes the young gorilla's entire life. It has to be, right? With such a long time being dependent, this intense bond is just evolution's way of making sure the little one survives. All while the silverback, their silent guardian, keeps watch.
But this complex, peaceful world is under threat. The story of the gorilla is now completely tied to its struggle for survival in a world that is just changing so fast around it.
The dangers they face are almost entirely from us, from humans. Deforestation is wiping out their homes. Illegal hunting puts them directly in harm's way. And as human populations expand, the forests they need to live just disappear, pushing them closer and closer to the brink. This brings us to our final and maybe most important section. Why does all of this matter? Well, because in understanding gorillas, we might just understand something a little deeper about ourselves.
The silverback offers us a really profound lesson. He shows us the true power isn't about aggression, it's about protection. And the true leadership isn't about dominance, but about building a community that's based on trust and care.
And this is why their survival feels so personal. When we work to protect gorillas, we're not just saving some animal. We are preserving a part of our own story.
a living, breathing link to where we all came from.
When you really look at them, past the myths, past the movie monsters, you see something that feels undeniably familiar. You see the dynamics of a family, the strength of a bond, and in the end, a reflection of the very best parts of ourselves.
So I'll leave you with this question to think about. If, in their world, we really do see a reflection of ourselves, what does that reflection teach us about who we are? And maybe who we ought to be?